My top priority as a member of the United States Congress is to not forget the people who elected me, who sent me to Congress. Not to forget the people, not to forget the hard-working men and women of this state. And I'm talking about the farmers and the truck drivers and the waitresses and the guy that changes oil for a living. Not to forget those people, and to pass sensible health care reform legislation like small business health plans. Number one priority. To pass legislation that will enable people to be good stewards of the environment. Right now, the technology is so very expensive. If there's one thing the government can do, it can give a tax rebate, it can give tax cuts to make sure that people are able to do what they need to do in terms of helping to protect the environment, helping to reduce energy consumption. I will make it a priority to support drilling in ANWR and going after our own oil revenues. I think it's critical that we do that, and it's critical that we have nuclear power. Those are the issues that I think are critical, but none more so. None more so. I want to make this very clear one more time. We've got to support the men and women who fight for this country every day. And I think mandatory funding is key. I say that from experience. I say it from experience as a veteran, from experience as working on veterans issues for years when I worked for Senator Snow. That's the important thing. And the one thing I want you folks hopefully to keep in mind. I don't know when it became a bad thing to be in public service. We should be encouraging people to be in public service. We should encourage our children to be in public service. We should encourage an open and honest debate. And we should not attempt to tear somebody's record apart and try and take little bitty pieces. That's the political process. That's what a politician does. What a statesman does is stand up and do what they believe is right. And that's what I've done as a two-term member of the State Senate. 2 terms. 2 terms. You hear a lot of talk about career politicians. I worked in the private sector. I worked in the public sector. I've served our country in the military. And I want to serve you as a member of the United States Congress. I need your help. I need your support. This is very serious business. Very serious business we're talking about. We have a situation in the Middle East that's going to require experienced leadership, someone who understands, the boots on the ground experience. And I can be that congressman. I need you to join me. This is going to be a great race. This is a race that we not only can win, it's a race that we will win. And I'm hoping that you will join me and support me on June 10th and in November. Thank you very much.
We'll have about 3 minutes as well for this, and we begin with Dean.
Let me preface my remarks by saying, first of all, I played football at the University of Maine for 4 years. People usually look at me and snicker at this point. I don't look the part. But I want to say it. I played wide receiver, and there was always a depth chart. And you knew every single day when you came in August where you stood on that depth chart, right? And I often had to live with the very guy I was competing with. And that's tough. But you went out and you hustled on the field, and you did what you could, and you tried to make the big plays. So on the first game of the season, you got the starting job. I want to emphasize, I admire Charlie and I admire Ruth for everything she did. We wear the same jersey. We're just hustling for the same position. Okay? I want to make sure that's very clear. And no matter what happens, I will always wear this jersey and support whatever candidate comes out of this race. I want to make that very clear. So, why to support Dean Scontras? First of all, as I told you, I'm a citizen candidate. I've never done this before. And I think we do look to Washington, D.C. with a little reluctance. When we have 11% approval rating, we wonder why people stay in government for so long. It wasn't supposed to be like that. And I'm concerned, too, about the very soul of the party, and the soul of the party here in the state of Maine. We've been here before as a party. We have. After the 60s and after Watergate, a lot of people were saying the only way to win elections is to moderate our positions. We need to look more like them to win elections. And that's when my hero stood up and said, over this party, we should never raise a banner of pale pastels, but one of bold colors. And that was Ronald Reagan. And it's okay that we have 2 candidates that have 2 very different positions on a lot of issues. And it's okay that I represent the Ronald Reagan side of those positions. And that I'm proud of that. And I'm proud as a conservative. and that I'm willing to fight for those values. That's the difference. That at the end of the day, my values and my courage are why I'm doing this. And for my children, it's truly why I'm doing it. So when you think of Dean Scontras, you need to think of somebody who's truly a citizen candidate, but is running truly in the spirit of Ronald Reagan. And in 1966, when Ronald Reagan was asked on Meet the Press, because I get asked this question all the time, Mr. Reagan, you're running for governor, shouldn't you have run for selectman first? Shouldn't you have done something else? And he said, it's because the divide between the parties has become so great, it's time for people from the rank and file to get back involved. And I will tell you this, as I've come across this district, I've met a lot of you that could be standing up here. A lot of you that know the issues. And you know what? That's the issue. That's the point. Is that a lot of you should be up here. A lot of you could take part. And that's why I very proudly call my campaign Team D. Is because I stood up amongst most of you and said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to represent the values that are important to me and the people that I know. And most importantly, I'm not going to paint with pale pastels. I am going to paint with bold colors. It's very important you know that I'm the only pro-life candidate in this race. And I know that there's sensitivities around this issue. And some people have suggested and advised me early on to change my position about that issue. But it's not. I will not do that. I can't do that. It's part of my principles. I'm the only candidate in this race that is against civil unions and for a constitutional amendment to protect marriage. Thank you very much. I also stood up very early on in this process and talked about illegal immigration. I'm the only candidate in the race who actually has a position piece on illegal immigration and what I would do. So if you want somebody who will paint with bold colors, if you want somebody who, again, will try with their best effort to run in the spirit of Ronald Reagan in a way Mainers understand, not through TV commercials, but going out there and earning it the old-fashioned way, by meeting at your place of work, your place of worship, your place of business, and earning this with a handshake and a smile. Thank you so much, and vote for Dean Scontras on June 10th.